The adamant nature of Bollywood reviving movies and creating spiritual sequels when no one asks for it continues with Cocktail 2. I'm all for actually tuning in for something fun and light in the rom-com genre. The funny part is that a movie like this doesn't really need to be called Cocktail 2, much like how Kesari Chapter 2 or Dhadak 2 had no business being called sequels in any way, but the nature of the business is such that producers and the makers believe that if a movie is being titled something unique and original, the audience doesn't buy tickets. The belief is that the audience does need a reference or a recall value to a previous movie to feel motivated enough to buy a ticket. So here we are with a sequel of a movie that was anyway mid. Cocktail, that released in 2012, beyond its music and Deepika Padukone looking like a dream as Veronica and becoming a style icon for most women, was probably one of the most regressive and forgettable films of the genre, mainly because of the archaic roles for women that it normalized of who constitutes as the ideal woman for marriage. It also released in the fag end of Saif Ali Khan's run in the genre as the desirable leading man, reflecting on the role himself and stating that it was quite irritating to be in your 40s and still play the lead who is confused about his romantic choices. So here we are with Shahid Kapoor, who is 45 years old, taking the mantle of doing the same 14 years later. We really have not learnt anything, have we? Cocktail 2, directed by Homi Adajania, focuses on Kunal, played by Shahid Kapoor, who falls in love with Dia, played by Rashmika Mandanna. I'm only going to reveal the beats that have been explored in the songs and trailer. The romantic pair attempt to make their partnership work while pursuing their career goals in a long-distance relationship. Everything seems hunky-dory as they move in together, but everyone nags them about getting married. They take a trip to Italy to run away from all the pressure, and the dynamic becomes a little complicated due to the inclusion of Ali, played by Kriti Sanon. What specifically happens as the trio travel together to the most beautiful locations together, most importantly in the trailer when both Rashmika and Kriti are arguing and shouting at each other, Rashmika states, "Hamari बेवकूफी के वजह से वो अपनी जान क्यों देगा?" What is that बेवकूफी that leads to causing a rift in their dynamic is essentially what you will explore in Cocktail 2. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the film so that you guys can ultimately decide whether to watch Cocktail 2 in theaters or not. The good, beautiful people in beautiful locations. This is one of the biggest highlights of this movie. Honestly, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. If you're going to be tuning in for a TRP review of a movie, be assured that even in the most dire circumstances, I will be able to point out something that is marginally impressive in a tower of was erected in front of all of you. The movie has been shot on a budget of close to 150 crores, which if you ask me personally is an absolutely wild budget to mount a rom-com on, especially a spiritual sequel to a movie that wasn't such a big success anyway. The praiseworthy element of the investment is that you can see it on the big screen. Sicily looks like an absolute dream and makes me want to plan a Europe trip at the earliest. All the three leads look beautiful, especially Kriti Sanon, who looks like an absolute dream. I mean, I was hooting at her entry. She looks so good, but that can't be the highlight that makes you stay invested in this tale for 2 hours and 30 minutes. I have one gripe though. I absolutely hate the way Shahid Kapoor has been styled in this movie because it genuinely seemed like stylist Anayata Shroff was trying her level best to make us believe that Shahid is in his late 20s or early 30s in this movie. It's just not convincing enough. This is the same problem with the styling of Hrithik Roshan in movies, where he wears this t-shirt and an open shirt on top of it to look like he's just stepping out of Vishwavidyalaya metro station in 2012 for his first lecture in college, but it's just too try-hard for anyone's liking. See, life is tough, the world is throwing curveballs at all of us with economic hurdles and the world literally burning. It would easily make you assume that this is the Kalyug and our days are numbered, and in the midst of this dread that makes us all deeply depressed, if the respite is to spend 2 hours and 30 minutes to see actors who look pretty in pretty locations, especially Kriti, well, this is the movie that you tune in for this weekend. Is the bar that low? Oh yes, it is. The underwhelming aspects. Mid-music and choreography. It is an absolute crime, yes, an absolute crime to have Shahid Kapoor in a rom-com and not make him dance his heart out and employ the best choreographers to make sure that at least we have one banger. Even in a relatively above average film like Teri Baaton Mein Aisa Uljha Jiya, at least we had a song like the title track and Akhiyan Gulab, where I could hoot and cheer on the big screen. But the songs and the choreography are absolutely forgettable in Cocktail 2. I have to say I personally liked Jab Talak as a number to listen to as I drive, a groovy peppy number that is genuinely fun, but the visuals are so generic, so been there done that with the cast, that it pulls down the little fun potential it had. The rest of the music album and even choreography choreography genuinely is not even worth talking about. Tujhko focusing on Shahid and Rashmika's relationship does not make you feel an iota of emotions. The simmering tension that may exist between Shahid and Kriti with Mashuka does not give you a hint of sexual tension that may exist between them. And the party mix of Tumi Ho Bandhu is just mediocre at best. I mean, the makers just 2 days before the release came up with a music video with what seemed to be the most last minute decision to push ticket sales, knowing very well that the album has not struck a chord with the audience. There is also a number where the makers try their level best in making Kriti do her best bunny entry at a party from Ye Jawani Hai Deewani, but it has to be the most underwhelming song from the album. What I found hilarious is that Kunal, played by Shahid, is presented as a man who is being taught dance by Kriti, underconfident and clueless on what to do on the dance floor. But when a song hits, he is moving like prime Shahid Kapoor. There isn't even a consistency in the character's ability in this film. Dinesh Vijan and Karan Johar really pride themselves about knowing the pulse of the audience in terms of music and how this generation likes light and slightly peppy numbers that they can groove to, but this is a classic case to understand that there is no formula to what bangs as a song and becomes an anthem for everyone. It may work a few times, but you aren't going to get it right all the time, especially when you reverse engineer it based on algorithms and what you assume people like. This one is just bland and pales in comparison to the brilliant album of Cocktail that released in 2012, Insincere and Fake. There is one thing that especially perturbed me in this movie, and this is a very inconsequential point to the plot, but tell me whether you felt the same way or not. But you know, when a song is short and it doesn't have choreography and it is not a mere montage, there are often filler scenes where the director essentially tells you to have fun, to do some improv in front of the camera as the song plays in the background. These are sequences that get dispersed in the songs where the characters are to be captured having fun. This movie probably has some of the most fake having fun I have seen in film. The forced laughter reminds me of the most important question one had asked on social media. Or what are the jokes that the Panditji is cracking for every celebrity wedding? Because everyone seems to be reacting as if they are in the front row of their favorite stand-up comic. The fake laughter, the banter is so manufactured here, it just did not seem genuine at all. They are so aware of the cameras rolling that the fun trip just seemed like a choreography versus a travel film like Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara or Dil Chahta Hai, where it genuinely seemed like the cast was having a ball. It doesn't help either that the dynamic shared between the characters seems distant. This is both a combination of the makers writing the characters, Rashmika and Kriti, not really being close friends in the movie, and just the lack of chemistry, especially shared between Shahid Kapoor and Rashmika. Let's speak about this especially. Basic performances and accent. I've spoken about this multiple times when it comes to Rashmika Mandanna at the movies, especially Hindi movies, that because of her popularity and many believing that her association with films leads to their success, she often gets cast for roles because of her popularity versus being suitable for the role. See, I have defended this girl against all the trolls in Animal. I thought she was brilliant in The Girlfriend, but she genuinely seems like a misfit here because her dialogue delivery is atrocious. Other than the movie mildly mentioning that she comes from Hyderabad, Rashmika's diction, especially in moments of conflict while arguing with Shahid, is extremely awkward. They don't get delivered in a flow state and you have to sit through Rashmika enunciating like ऐसा थोड़ी होता है, तुम ऐसा क्यों करी, sometimes even messing up the gender rules in the Hindi language. She puts her heart into the role, at least with the expressions, but the dialogue delivery is extremely poor. It doesn't help that she doesn't have chemistry with Shahid either. Shahid Kapoor's lack of impact in this role, I allude more to his, poorly written character than his ability as an artist. Kunal is just this bland personality. His passion is in cooking, but he is not charming, funny, or even profound enough to care about, or for you to believe that these two beautiful women are desperate for his attention. He is somewhat of a pushover, agreeing to every women fancy of his partner and taking too long to come up with a bloody answer. There are times where characters are waiting for him to say something and he is just lost in thought. Shahid is found mostly eating Brad Pitt style while delivering his dialogues, and with every opportunity he got, making sure to burp in the face of the women after a heavy night of drinking. Kunal is usually a calm and non-confrontational dude, but it seemed like Shahid's inner Kabir Singh was just waiting to come out. In moments he does too. Kriti Sanon honestly looks like a dream in this movie, but the reason for her interest in the movie, specifically towards Shahid Kapoor, is so random that you wonder, is this the reason why she may be falling for him? I mean, you had theplas in Tu Meri Main Tera Tu Meri, and here you have Kadi Chawal doing the trick. That's all I'll give away, and yes, it is as dumb as it sounds. I started to think also as the minutes pass by in this movie, Kriti Sanon as Ali probably has to be the most Vela character I have seen because she has all the time in the world for Shahid and Rashmika and no one else. While Rashmika's not even that close of a friend to her. By the end of it, I naturally stopped appreciating how good Kriti looked because she just kept on appearing like a pylon. Lack of personal connection and poor conflict. One of the ways in which the audience can get insight into the lives of the characters, their personalities, and why they take certain decisions is by providing insight about their family dynamic or friends. Every supporting character in this movie barely has any dialogues or scenes in this movie. Shahid Kapoor's father is played by Tiku Talsania and he gets one or two scenes, and that itself is not enough to understand why Kunal is the way he is. The film solely rests on the shoulders of the three leads, and the conflict that everyone has been speculating prior to the release of this movie is another case of audiences having better ideas than the makers themselves. There were such wild conspiracies of what could be the twist of this movie, what could be the hook that causes a rift in their dynamic, and I just want to tell you, after all that you may have thought, the makers chose the most basic, predictable, and nothing burger of a conflict to become the core of this movie. The conflict is so bland, you wonder how they made an entire feature film around it versus just a part of the subplot. In any triangle love story, the only way you root for one's union is if there are some real red flags waving in front of you, something that will make the audience prefer one relationship over the other. But when the conflict itself is based on nothing, just the most surface level BS, you end up genuinely confused on how they made an entire movie on this. I am telling you with all my heart, you know how much of a Shahid stan I am, but this movie is tailor made for ambient second screen viewing because you will miss out on nothing. Its twist is not shocking, its moments of banter are not funny, and it is not even remotely emotional. Films can genuinely annoy you and be labeled as terrible. Films can genuinely move you and make you laugh and be termed as worth the trip to the theaters. But when a movie makes you feel nothing, not even a good laugh, not even a tear, zilch, nothing, then it really makes you contemplate how the production company deemed it fit to invest so much money on such a paper thin script. I mean, something is wrong when someone is delivering a passionate emotional speech about how much they love you and they compare you to a Patawad t-shirt or a Purani almari because every girl wants to be compared to worn out clothes or discardable furniture. Let me guess who wrote this movie.